Hi, God bless you, hermana. I'm sorry this took so long to make. I was, I had made it like this just from my own phone without it being edited, and I didn't like it, and I wanted to kind of make it more professional, and I was even thinking about making like a YouTube channel, but it was actually a lot harder because I had to figure out how to use like different, and I'm still trying to figure it out to learn how to use the software to edit videos, and it's just too complicated, and that's why it took so long. Uh, but yeah, so in this video, I'm gonna be talking about going over tips, warm up routine that she can do, and then I'm gonna just give her like a beginner lesson of basic strumming and some chords.
So this video is going to be just tips and some general things. This part of the guitar, this from around here to here is called, generally it's called the neck of the guitar. This is called the body, and this is called the head, or the headstock. Okay. So onto the tips. Tip number one would be probably the most important one. It would be to remember to play for God. And just to remember that as a musician, if you really want to take this seriously and you really want to learn, that yes, we should play loud and we should be able to kind of show off our skills and whatnot, but to lose focus of why we do it is very not ideal. So we should always play for God and do our best to try to share the gospel through songs, which is what our main goal is as Christians. So that would be tip one: play for God, and don't forget that. Tip two is cutting your fingernails. It's just simple. You do as short as you can. Don't overdo it because you might hurt your fingers when you're playing the guitar. I definitely have cut my fingers or my fingernails very short, and I've kind of peeled the skin a little bit off, or like back from the actual nail, and it kind of hurts. So just cut it where you're able to press on the strings and your nails don't get in the way. Tip three is holding the guitar. When your posture, you should always keep your chest outward, back straight, sit up. I have a bad habit of slouching too, but when I remember I do it. It's important to take care of yourself. For right now, you can just most guitars have like a little dent, little like cutaway or little bend here. You just put this on top of your lap. And I'm a righty, so this is my right hand, this is my left hand. So I just put the guitar on my right lap. And if you're a lefty, I guess I can make a separate video if you really want me to, explaining what you should do if you're a lefty. And still on tip three about holding the guitar, you should really try and avoid tilting the guitar backwards like this. Like when you're a beginner, you're trying to look at the fretboard. This is also called the fretboard. So this generally is called the neck, but this front part is called the fretboard. When you're looking at the fretboard, beginners are extending their neck and tilting the guitar back towards themselves, and it's just a bad habit. You should try to keep it as straight up or as parallel to your body. It's okay if it's a little tilted, but just try to avoid doing that as much. Step four, or tip four, I mean, would be is for for the hand that's gonna be on the doing the different chords and playing different notes. This is called your fretting hand. This is called your strumming hand. So your fretting hand, what I want you to do is to make a C, right? Make a C, and then what you do with the C is you put it underneath the guitar, and let there be spacing between your fingers. With this, the basic idea, this is more or less the basic idea you should have, or position you should have with your hand. There should when you're doing the C, there should be space between the bottom of the neck of the guitar, the bottom, and the palm of your hand. Your palm of your hand should not be touching the bottom of the guitar neck. when you become more used to doing this and you have more experience, then you can use a guitar players doing like this, and they're not allowing any space and they're putting their thumb over the guitar. But right now, I don't want you to do that. I want you to just keep it like this. Let there be space underneath the palm of your guitar, and your thumb should be on the back of the guitar neck, not not so down low or going over the guitar. Tip five would be to lower your wrist. When you're playing, try to be as relaxed as you can. Relax your shoulder, relax your elbow, your wrist, and your hand itself. When you're doing different chords, sometimes you'll see that your wrist kind of just, for example, this one, my wrist really has to bend a lot. I don't know if you can from the angle. My wrist has to bend a lot, but then if I do something like this, my wrist is more kind of inward and relaxed. So tip five is just keep your wrist relaxed, and also keep your elbow free. Tip six is specifically with your fingers. You want to be playing with the tips of your fingers, not the pads. The pads is the soft part right here. You don't want to press the strings, the guitar strings, with the pads of your finger. You want to be pressing on the tips. Okay. And when you press onto the strings, you want to come at it directly onto the guitar. So after you wanna, I don't know if you can see, you wanna come kind of at a straight angle or right angle, just directly towards the guitar, like this, rather than kind of the rest of your finger touching the other strings. And that's a problem that beginner guitarists do when they're trying to play a chord like this. The bottom ones won't ring. Why? Because, for example, their first finger is coming like not it's not coming straight like this. The rest of the finger, the pads of the finger, is kind of touching the rest of the strings, so it will mute. That's what you don't want to let your finger just come like this. You want it to be as kind of as you want the knuckles to be as angled or curled. Okay. And still with tip six would be careful with the pressuring, or balance the pressure or the strength on which you press the strings themselves. When you're beginning, you may want to like squeeze and like try to destroy the guitar. You don't want to destroy it and try to grapple it with all your strength. You just want to press it uh, strong enough that the string will be clear, or the sound will be clear, I mean. But if you press too light, you'll hear like a thud, or you'll hear like a little gargle, like you could hear it, but it's kind of like buzzing. You want to hear it clear. And then also, if you press too hard, it'll change pitch. Actually, I don't know if you can hear it. So this is normal, and then if I press really hard, it'll go out of tune. So you want to try to find an even balance of the strength you put on the strings. Tip seven, I said it prior. When you're playing or when you're pressing down, you want to keep the knuckles of your fingers as bent as possible. Obviously, don't hurt yourself, but when you're playing, try to keep them bent. So, for example, this chord, if you notice, all my knuckles are bent, right? You don't want this. You don't want the knuckles of your fingers to collapse inward, okay? So keep them curled. Tip number 8 is when you press down, you want to press up as close as you can to the frets. So this is another term you have to learn. Each of these boxes here, these little boxes, all of these on a guitar and a bass guitar are called frets. This metallic little bar here, these are also called frets, but I also hear people call them fret wires. I prefer to call them fret wires to make a distinction between the fret and the fret wire. So the counting of the frets themselves will be fret 1, fret 2, fret 3, fret 4, and 5. You can also use these little dots. Most guitars have them. They're called fret markers. The fret markers themselves are usually on an odd number. So like this is on 3, 5, 7, 9, and when you see two dots together, that means it's fret 12. And then my guitar continues on. So remember the fret markers are on an odd number. In most guitars, when you're looking down, I don't know if you can see, there's like little markers also on like the top part of the guitar. So when you're looking down, there's a dot here that coincides with this dot, so you can look down and you'll see, oh, this is fret 3, fret 5, okay. But back to the actual tip, you want to press up against the fret wire. And the idea here is that it's usually easiest and most clear sounding when you press next to the fret wire. Now what you don't want to do is press on the fret wire, because you press on it, you hear a little thud. If you press next to it, you want to hear this, you want to hear it clearly. And then sometimes if you could, depending on the chord, you won't always be able to do that. For example, with a C major chord, you can see that all my fingers are all up against the fret wire, so I can do that. But for example, something like let me see, like this, something like this, this third finger is in the middle of the fret because my pinky is next to the fret wire, and then I don't have that space to like really press next to the fret wire. Sometimes it's okay, but ideally you want all your fingers to be up against the fret wire. Like this one's up against the fret itself. This one is up against the fret itself too, right here. Right.